Got a chance to see the new Predator movie, Predator Badlands. Let's talk about it right now. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you so much for spending time with me as we rant about movies, comic books, and television shows, as well as the occasional board game. I'm your host, Frank Zanka, an award-winning screenwriter, novelist, and comic book writer, as well as a filmmaker. And yeah, we're going to talk about Predator Badlands. I am a fan of the Predator franchise. Unfortunately, we had that area in there where we just had really bad Predator movies. So we had Predator 1 and then Predator 2. I didn't think Predator 2 was as good as Predator 1, but I thought it was still decent. You know, we had Danny Glover in there. But he really didn't compare to what Schwarzenegger did and everything else. It was more of an urban... I think it took place in Miami and stuff like that. So it really didn't have the same thing as having in the jungle and things to that effect. Then we had the Predators with Brody, Adrian Brody. I thought that one was okay. But then we had the Predator, and boy, was that a biggest piece of shit ever. And we had the AVP movies. And those were pretty bad. So it was just like, we just went through a really bad time of Predator movies. And then we had Prey. And I thought Prey was decent, especially with like a direct-to-video movie. And I liked the actress in there. She ended up in Novocaine as well. Not using Novocaine, but like in the movie. And then from there... we got, and I just watched that recently, I have a review on that, is The Killer of Killers, the animated one, which I thought was really good also. I'll put the link in the description below for that one. So we got some really good stuff in there for, a couple of pieces. And I was still worried. I mean, I know that Dan Trachtenberg, who wrote and directed this, he also wrote Prey and directed Prey, and he also wrote it with the other writer on this, which is Patrick Elson. They really haven't done much otherwise of note. They've got some TV stuff behind them. But I think Prey was really pretty much their claim to fame. And they also were doing Killer of Killers. So they kind of just embraced the Predator IP. And I thankfully they did. Thankfully they did. And because I actually enjoyed this. Probably more than I thought I was. Am I going to watch this over and over again? I don't know. Because it is lacking the human side, right? Where in the other movies we had the human stuff. Although Prey I didn't really, watch multiple times either. I have watched Predator 1 and Predator 2 multiple times. And I might even watch Killer of Killers again. I actually thought that was pretty good. But... this one, of course, there's no humans in this movie whatsoever. None. And I don't know if that is hindering the film at all. Though everybody really seems to like it because what it is on Rotten Tomatoes is, 85 from critics and 96 from the audience score. That's tremendous. And we got an applause at the end of the movie in the theater I was in. And then on top of that, cell phones did come out, but then they went away, which means people were into it. The cell phones didn't stay out like the whole movie or anything like that. It's just an occasional, and then out. So I'm okay with that. It's when it stays out for tremendous periods of time. And that also, I don't usually go to the movies when there's like a ton of people for the cell phone reason. But I went tonight at 7. In fact, if you watched my thing about For Die My Love, I thought I was going to see it last night. But I ended up buying the ticket for tonight. And I'm glad I did because I kind of enjoyed having all the people around me. And again, it was pretty quiet. There was no real disturbance anywhere in the theater, which was shocking to me, considering the theater was mostly full. And I really hope this movie does well. Now, here's the real positive thing about this is these guys know how to make movies on a lower budget, which is highly unusual, especially for a Fox property, which is, of course, Disney, because Disney owns Fox. And, of course, they're trying to milk all these IPs as much as possible. They've milked Star Wars to the point where it doesn't even exist anymore. I think the Mandalorian and Grogu movie is going to die a very quick death. And then, of course, we have Marvel, which is also dead for the most part. I think that Doomsday, every Marvel movie this year lost money, and I think that Doomsday is literally doomed. It's doomed. So they literally have nothing left, and then they just did Alien Earth, which had very, very mixed reviews, even from me. And that leaves this one. So, I mean, what's left? They've literally gone through every IP, Indiana Jones, Willow. I mean, they've literally gone through every single IP they could possibly have and destroyed everything, including their own Disney properties. Lilo and Stitch was the only thing that made money, and we'll see how Zootopia 2 does. I'm a big fan of Utopia. I love the first one. I will see if this one does any well. But going back to the budget, so Prey was $65 million for a sci-fi piece. I think that's pretty good, considering that Fantastic Four was $200 million. And I mean, every movie that I pretty much have seen lately has been $50 million. Even Downton Abbey was like $50 million. And I don't know how that is. I don't even know how that works. But everybody's just been spending money hand over fist. So you would think, I mean, when I looked up the budget for this film, I was like, this is another $200 million film. But it isn't. It's $100 million. 100. That's a good move. That is a really, I mean, even Tron, again, $200 million with no name talent in it. Jared Leto is not a name that demands any kind of money. And what's his face? What the hell's the guy's name that did that plays in Tron? He was only in one day. He was like in one scene. So Jeff Bridges. So yeah, Jeff Bridges was only in one scene. So I still to this day have no idea what was $200 million. Gillian Anderson? No. The effects? So let's say the effects were $20 million. Let's say they were $30 million. Where did 200 come from? So I'm still not getting it, especially when we have a complete CG movie here, for the most part. You know, we have the guy in a suit, but all the mandibles and everything else on his face have to move. We had Elle Fanning literally being half a person throughout the majority of the film. So her lower half is completely CG'd out. And yet this movie cost half of what Tron did? What? So these guys knew how to stick to a budget, and I majorly respect that. Anyway, before we go any further, remember to give me a like, give me a subscribe if you can. If you can, ring that bell, ding, ding. And share this video out there because I want people to know that the Predator Badlands is a decent film. But we'll get to my rating here in a few seconds. Remember, too, that I'm on Amazon. I'm a writer myself, so you can check out my 4-novel quadrilogy sci-fi extravaganza, Destiny Aurora. So in the vein of Guardians of the Galaxy, Star Wars, and Star Trek all stuck together. So if you like space opera type of stuff, you're going to love that. It was made into a board game, an RPG, a graphic novel. It's also on Audible. And then my fantasy novel, Tales of Ravenor, The Iron Witch, of which I am, no pun intended, I am working on the audio book for that right now, gathering pieces of it together and people. Excited about that. But if you like Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon. You're going to like that because we have magic, and we do have dragons in it. We have griffins and witches and big battles, and it's and twists and turns. It's lots of fun. Then we have my new comic, Fairy Tales of Terror, where we have Psycho Cinderella, Killer Captain Hook running around New York City trying to ignite magic in our world, and Tiger Lily from Neverland is trying to stop them. So we are in late pledge right now. I am possibly thinking about starting up a Indiegogo. We were successful on Kickstarter, so it's definitely coming out. So definitely check out fairytalesofterror.com and pick up a copy today before I retire some of the covers. All right, so let's jump back into Predator Badlands. So I wanted to talk about the $106 million budget. So even if they dumped $50 million into the marketing of this, so at 150, this one only needs $300 million to break even, which is far lower than the normal Disney $600 million. So I think this film is going to do very well internationally, and I mean, Disney needs to be smacked around a little bit more. I think their stock is going to continue to drop. It's sticking at 100 right now, but I think it's going to drop back down to the 80. They've lost so much money. But I think this has the opportunity of making like $500 million, at least $4, which would make it at least $100 million profit, of which Disney barely ever sees anymore. I think the only thing that was profitable besides Lilo and Stitch this year was the Body Swap movie, Freakier Friday. I think that movie made like maybe $50 million if it was lucky, which doesn't even cover near the $100 to $150 million that Fantastic Four lost. So, but I'm rooting for this film. I'm rooting for these guys because they knew how to construct a decent film. They knew how to construct a sci-fi on a lower budget, and I'm calling $100 million lower budget. And because Mandalorian and Grogu, that trailer looks like piece of shit, and it looks like the TV show, and they spent 166 on that one, and it looks like a TV show. So I don't think this looked like a TV show at all. So this one here is about a predator that is, I forgot what they call him, something with a Y, with a J at the end, or Yajung or whatever it was. It was weird, but I never heard that before. But apparently it's been used before, but I never heard it before. But anyway, he was a runt. He's a smaller predator, and the father wants the brother to kill him. But the brother loves his brother. The brother loves his other brother, who is Quay is the larger brother, and Deck is the main character. And the guy who played Deck, I've never seen him before. He's done a bunch of TV. But anyway, so he loves him and refuses the father's order to kill him, and instead fights the father to the point where he ends up killing him. And Deck escapes the planet, but he escapes with a mission to take on a creature that his own father could not kill. So that's his goal. And he ends up crashing on this planet where he ends up meeting, it's a death planet because everything around there is, the blades of grass are razor sharp. The plants shoot out, needles out that paralyze you so other things can kill you. It's just one thing after another. And I do like that everything that we saw, oh, that's right, even we had exploding worms. So I like that everything we saw throughout the film, the writer said, how can we incorporate that in the ending? Love that. And we think that the monster, we think that he's got it beat. He doesn't. So he's even failing. Elle Fanning's character, Thea, so she plays two characters, Thea and Tessa, and they are the same. And then, of course, because they're robots, they're synthetics. And then on top of that, we also have these other guys that all look the same as well. So the men all look the same, the females all, and the two females look the same. and they're sisters or whatever else. I like that. So even Elle Fanning's character has an arc. The Thea character has an arc. We even see the loader, because remember, we're throwing in the Utani group into this, which is from Alien. And I like all that. It's so good how everything was all put together. But again, it's missing the human main character. We don't have any of that. We have to rely on the Predator, who doesn't even speak English. He's basically speaking in a language where we're reading subtitles, which is very smart for them when they put it into another language, because half the shit's already in subtitle. But the action is very good. Again, we're rooting for this guy, and even we get to the ending, it sets up for a sequel. I would love it. I would love to see the sequel, and we have an arc for the Predator. That's amazing, and all the music and everything else is very like Viking music, because really that's what the Predators are. They're basically Vikings, right? They're always looking for the next fight and dying honorably. So they're kind of like Klingons as well. But then Klingons were also based on Vikings, so it's the same type of thing. And I love the out-of-the-box thinking that all this kind of, this was very imaginative, which you don't really get a lot of times nowadays. And I like the fact that they were not afraid to kind of take it to the next level and stuff like that. Of course, since there's no humans, the killing in here is no big deal, because you're killing aliens and robots. So there is no human killing. So of course it's not going to have an R rating. And we had next to me, 6-7-year-old kids. So what am I going to rate this? Again, I'm really probably not going to watch it several times, because it is missing the human hero. And I just can't get over that. And a lot of people might, but I just have. And a lot of people said too that it destroys the mystery of the Predators. I didn't think so. I didn't have a problem with kind of defining a little bit more lore of the Predators themselves. It didn't ruin anything. If anything, too, the fact that they only get a cloak after a certain amount of time, so he didn't have any cloak or anything like this, like cloaking device. I like that too, where you have to reach a level to get a cloak device. So I liked all that, but no, I didn't think it ruined the mystery for me at all. If anything, I'd like to see more. But again, it sets up for a sequel. I'm going to give this probably... I'm going to give it an 8 for originality. It's more like a 7.5, but I'm going to give it an 8 just because of the originality of it. And Elle Fanning did a great job of playing the two roles, totally different. I liked a lot of the humor and stuff like that. Maybe it was a little bit too far with the humor, but it humanized something that really wasn't human. So I definitely suggest seeing it on a big screen. It was fun. It was a fun movie, and it was action-packed, and it's about aliens. This thing is going to sell lots of toys, which is what Disney needs right now. They haven't sold any toys. All the Marvel stuff hasn't sold shit. So the only thing selling toys right now is Jurassic Park, which isn't theirs. So they need a win on this. And if these guys, Dan Trachtenberg and the other guy, can sell some toys for Predator, that would be amazing. I saw the toys out already. So good stuff. All right, definitely check that out. Let me know if you guys have seen it, what you thought of it, and do you agree with my recommendation and my ranking. Also, remember to check out my stuff on Amazon. Check out Fairy Tales of Terror. Give me a like, a subscribe, and everything to that effect. And have an awesome week, and I'll see you in the next one. All right, bye.